You know a chapter is hype when you see Brook, the man with no eyes, grow eyes because of how shocked he is at Luffy's bounty update. This chapter, One Piece, can we go on a limb here and say that this is hands down probably the best chapter of the year? Oda is not holding back any punches with the start of this new arc. The Reverie is going to be pretty savage because it's very apparent now after this chapter, and after Luffy getting his bounty update, that Luffy's going to be a very big topic of discussion at the Reverie, just because now he's being recognized as potentially the 5th Yonko. But before I get into that, though, you know a chapter's hype as well when you get... and then you get... and then on top of that, you get Shanks. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to see these characters in this chapter. Everybody's reaction to Luffy's bounty update. What just happened at Whole Cake Island. Now, I think I'm going to admit that the MVP of this arc, it may have been Brook in a lot of ways, but the secret MVP is definitely Big Bird. Big News Morgan. So he definitely kind of was the secret MVP. What he did by relaying this information to the world government and letting everybody know is pretty savage. Like, this man is a fiend, okay? What he just did jumped up Luffy's publicity on a whole new level. Like, this man now is being recognized as the 5th Emperor. Like, bro, like, we are finally at this point in the series where Luffy is being recognized as something like that. And just to reestablish this fact of how much his fame has gotten out there, he now is technically protecting Fishman Island. You have a King Neptune himself. He's like, I guess, we're under the protection of, Straw Hat Luffy. Which just goes to show that nobody's really going to want to mess with, Fishman Island because of Luffy. Because he's just so high up there in his status now with the bounty and all that. Many are going to look at him as, a potential Yonko or already a Yonko. Which, that's left to be seen. But for now, though, getting right into that, I just want to say that this chapter, there's so many goodies for long-term fans of One Piece that it's just ridiculous. I mean, we have the stuff with Kobe, we have the stuff, like I said, with Crocodile, we got to see him, we got Shanks, we got Blackbeard, I mean, we got, a little bit of updates on all the princesses and stuff that we've had throughout the journey of One Piece. I mean, we got a lot of updates, and it just made me very happy to see all these little things throughout the chapter. And I mean, we even get Nami with Zeus. Yes, Zeus is with Nami, which is something that I was talking about a lot, and many others a part of the One Piece community we're talking about this in depth, basically saying if Nami was to be able to get Zeus, it would be a massive power jump for her. She would have a big buff, because Zeus is technically a Yonko. He is Big Mom's soul. So if Nami has that, that's going to make her very scary because of Zeus's capabilities. So that just, yeah, that blows my mind. So, I mean, there's just so many things in this chapter and little nods to things from a long time ago that just made me smile. So to get right into it, let's talk about something that many might have forgotten, okay? Let's talk about the Kobe stuff. Kobe was the one that settled the Rocky Port incident, which, like I said, many might have forgotten this name because it's been a really long while. It was mentioned years ago, around like in 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. It was years ago, like, when we got into the time skip part of One Piece. Law was the reason why the Rocky Port incident happened in the first place. How he became warlord was because of that. And so if we found out now that Kobe is the reason why that entire incident was settled, then that potentially means that Law and Kobe potentially had a fight. They went at each other and had a clash in the past, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, we know Kobe's pretty powerful now. I mean, we even see that demonstrated in this chapter. What he does, he goes swimming without any boat or anything, just swimming to go capture, the torpedo and all that, which is just scary how strong this man has gotten, but also his observation hockey has jumped through the roof. It's on a whole new level, which makes you wonder, is his observation hockey at the level of Luffy's or Katakuri's, or is it beyond it or below it? That's left to be seen, but that makes you start to wonder because of how that was mentioned in this chapter. I do like the fact that Kobe, he was trying kind of fangasm, or he was fangasming internally when he found out what happened to Luffy, how Luffy got his bounty update and what happened to the Straw Hats and everything. He was fangasming, but obviously, since he is a Marine, part of the Navy, he cannot showcase that. He cannot, say he thinks of him like a friend and all that, because if he did, obviously he's going to get in a lot of trouble. He could potentially get killed, or, all that, or it could be treason. So because of that, he can't say he's Luffy's friend, but we see how many around Kobe are like, oh, it's very obvious, you're his friend, aren't you? You like him, you can talk to us, we won't tell anybody, we can keep it between us as a secret, we promise. And I'm like, yo, it's really great to see Kobe once again just showing how much he respects Luffy, because it's very humble beginnings where the series started. Since I rewatched the anime, I got to kind of see Kobe's character's growth over the journey of the series, and just seeing how he started off like he was with the first chapter, or the first part of the series, and then he became what he is now, it's ridiculous. And I'm just really glad to see that once again, that aspect of Kobe has not changed. He does say that Luffy is his enemy, which technically they are, but at the end of the day though, they still are friends. They can meet common ground and talk with each other if they need to talk with each other. So that's what I got from that scene. So Nami getting Zeus, that, like I've already said, is a big buff. And I've talked about this a long time ago, about how if Nami got Zeus, then that would mean that her power, it's on a level we really can't comprehend right now, because we've seen Zeus do some really crazy stuff. We've seen this man, just rain down lightning across the entire sky and all that, and Big Mom has demonstrated that Zeus is incredibly powerful. That's not just mentioning the fact that he's part Yonko. So, I really do wonder if Nami is going to be able to utilize Zeus even better than Big Mom, because think about it like this. The reason why Big Mom was able to use Zeus like she was is because, honestly, they were both a part of the same soul. Zeus is Big Mom's soul. So, it makes you wonder if Nami might have difficulty. She probably will at first to get the mastery of Zeus, but if she continues to use him, then most likely she might be even able to surpass Big Mom. Because think about it like this. Nami, she knows how to use weather science. Anything with science and weather and stuff, she knows about all that stuff. So, obviously, she'd be able to utilize Zeus in a way that might be even far beyond Big Mom, since Big Mom was never really into looking at weather and understanding how Zeus can get a lot more powerful. So Zeus definitely has the potential to surpass what Big Mom was doing with Zeus, but that was probably going to take a while for Nami to gain mastery over him. Now, I also would like to mention, I like how Zeus is living inside of Nami's weapon. It's kind of like this man's a Pokemon. Am I the only one that thought that? I legit thought that Zeus was a Pokemon when he came out of the staff. Anyways, I guess let's talk about Saunji, since I mentioned him. So Saunji, he also got a buff. It's not a buff that's as obvious as Nami's buff because of Zeus being with her, but Saunji did in fact get a buff. He got a raid suit from Germa 66. Now, we know how Saunji feels about the Vinsmokes. We know how he feels about his family. We know how he feels about the raid suits. We know all about this, okay? That's what Whole Cake Island was kind of about in the first place. So I don't need to dive into the reasoning for that. It makes a lot of sense why he wouldn't want to use the raid suit, because he doesn't want to use their technology. He doesn't want to rely on, a family that, hated him and threw him under the bus. So I understand that. At the same time, though, his raid suit is definitely a very important piece from this arc. At the very least, emotionally, it's very symbolic, because this does give us closure to Saunji and his family. That's one of the big things that many were upset with the last arc, Whole Cake Island, when it finally ended. Many are upset that we didn't get that full closure to the Vinsmokes, but with the raid suit being given to Saunji, it's kind of like saying that the Germa 66, the Vinsmokes, they finally have accepted Saunji as a powerful individual. He is not a weakling. He is not someone that isn't capable of fighting. And so for, Germa 66 to give Saunji a raid suit of all things, a very important piece of technology, it means that they finally have respect for Saunji, that they don't want him to die. They think that he will be fine in the future. And that right there, like I said, closure between Judge and Saunji. Saunji may never forgive them, but at the very least, Judge, at the very least, is trying to realize that Saunji is not a weakling by any means, and he's a very strong individual. So, nice stuff. I like that closure. But getting back into the raid suit and what this potentially means, so I do believe that if Saunji is not forced to use the raid suit, if he's not forced because, let's say, the Straw Hats are in a situation, like a bad situation, I could see Saunji using it. But if it doesn't ever come to that, I believe the only reason how Saunji would probably use something like that is most likely if Frankie tampers with it. Because remember, Frankie, he would love to get his hands on that raid suit and mess with it and all that, redesign it and stuff, and Usopp would love to as well. So, I mean, when you think about that, I wonder if Frankie might make some adjustments to, the raid suit for Saunji might wear it. Now that would be really cool. Saunji got a bounty update, and his bounty is now 330 million berry bounty. It's pretty high. It's actually higher than Zoro's. Zoro's is 320 million berry bounty, so it's 10 million higher than Zoro, which I think is a really good nod to the rivalry between Saunji and Zoro. So, yeah, I have a feeling that most likely when it comes to the Wano arc, like when we finally get into Wano and stuff, I feel like Zoro's probably going to jump up really high with his bounty, and Sanji's not going to jump up that high, and then it's going to be Zoro once again saying, yeah, I'm better than you and all that curly brows. I could definitely see something like that happening. It seems like an Oda thing to do for Zoro and Sanji's character. That's just what I think is potentially going to happen because of the whole bounty situation. It's always been a reoccurring theme every time an arc ends and they potentially get bounty updates. Anyways, let's get into Luffy. So Luffy's bounty, his bounty is 1,500,000,000 berry bounty. That's, pretty ridiculous. I just like, yo, that jump. It's literally a 1 billion jump. Because he was a 500 million berry bounty, and now jumped up to 1,500,000,000 berry bounty. That is, ridiculous, which does make sense why it jumped up that high. I mean, he defeated Katakuri, which is a big thing, and then, we also have Cracker, which was defeated, so, I mean, when you factor those two things in, it makes sense why his bounty jumped that high, and, I mean, Katakuri was technically Big Mom's second in command, so, yeah, it makes sense why Luffy would be that high up. And I guess the only reason why this really did happen, though, why it jumped so high, is because Big News Morgan, as I said, Secret MVP, he relayed the information in a truthful fashion and managed to show that Luffy indeed was doing everything he did and managed to hurt Big Mom in a way that made her look really bad. And so, I like the way that was done. Luffy now is being recognized as a powerful pirate, and this definitely is going to shock everybody around the world. Now, the thing about this, though, is that with Luffy now having this bounty, it does give us some clarification that most likely this is where Yonko bounties are, because with now him having that type of bounty and the world government now mentioning that he's potentially the 5th emperor and all that, it means that their bounties are near that, at the very least. Maybe Luffy's probably the lower end of the spectrum, probably lower than all the others, but overall, he's definitely probably close to the bounty tier for an emperor, for it to be that high and them to mention that. So, it does seem pretty scary. So it's not going to be too long from now until Luffy finally enters into the status of true up-tier, like, Yonko bounties if he keeps this up, especially after the Wano arc. Now, speaking of the, Reverie and stuff, since I'm talking about next arcs, with Luffy being now an emperor and all that, and what happened with Saunji, the Germa 66, and how Big Mom was embarrassed and all that, it's going to have a major shift in the world power. Big Mom was embarrassed. Regardless of how everything was, regardless if Big Mom came out completely fine, she technically did lose because of everything that Luffy's crew gained. And so she did lose in the end. And because of that, you could see that many might start to think that Big Mom isn't that scary anymore. It might try to go after her or start problems with her. That's definitely a possibility. So I could definitely see Big Mom's crew having a lot of trouble now thanks to what Luffy just did. Then, on top of that, we gotta talk about the Vinsmoke family. The Vinsmoke family, as we know, they were part of the world meeting for the Reverie. But with, the news revealing that they were working with, the Straw Hats to take down Big Mom or fight her, then that means that they're gonna look really bad in the eyes of the world government. They're gonna look at them like, why were you with Straw Hat Luffy? Like, of all people, someone that's connected with the Revolutionary Dragon, and all that, like, why would you ever, work with them? And so I could definitely see the Vinsmokes having a major hard time at the Reverie because of everything, they're going to get a lot of backlash. I mean, we already had hints that they're potentially going to lose their status as one of these seats at the Reverie. That was mentioned when the arc first began, and that was the whole reason why Germa 66 wanted to initiate this, you know, treaty with Big Mom in the first place, because they wanted to hold on to their power, because they were going to lose it thanks to the Reverie that was about to happen. So, yeah, they're definitely losing their seat, a part of the Reverie from now on. Oh yeah, that's definitely happening, and there's a potential possibility they might even get arrested there because of them working with Straw Hat Luffy. So that's about it. I mean, chapter overall, it's an epic chapter. It had so much, like, hints at the future, what we could possibly expect, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Chibi out.